we're set.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Larry Curtis, and I am the Community Development Director for the City of Broken Arrow. And I would like to welcome you to the first ever Broken Arrow Public Transit Study meeting. This is our first community reach out meeting that we have tonight. And as in standard Oklahoma fashion, you know, the weather never wants to cooperate with us. But I, for one, am very glad, especially considering the weather is not cooperating with me right now. I am a little bit stuck waiting for a tow truck to come get me. But I'm very glad that technology has allowed me to be here and to be able to participate. And I'm so glad that technology has allowed you to be here as well. On behalf of the City Council and the City Manager, I'd like to welcome all of you and encourage you to participate, provide input, and learn a lot tonight. And at this point, I will give it back to Jill.
Thank you, Larry. Hello, everyone. Good evening. We're so excited that you've joined us tonight. And we have, I'm the project manager. I'm from Kimley Horn. I'm joined by a project team, including Luke Schmidt, pictured there and just gave us a wave, as well as Monica Tanner, who you'll hear from in a little bit as well. So with that, let's jump right in. So the purpose of tonight's meeting is really to introduce the community to the study. So we're going to describe a little bit about kind of the scope of work and what we're setting out to do. We want to spend some time reporting out on the feedback we've received to date. We've gotten a lot of feedback online, which has been really encouraging. So we want to kind of report out on that. We also, which is probably one of the most important things tonight, is really collect your input to craft the public transportation vision. So we want to hear from you. So a big goal tonight is to really listen, collect your input, and gather your feedback. So in order to achieve those goals, the agenda on the right there is the, first we're going to start out with an overview of the study, kind of the nuts and bolts of the study. Then we're going to go over some of the existing conditions and what we've heard about the existing conditions. Then we're going to break up into small group exercises. So we're going to kind of mimic, if you would imagine that we are at the community center around the table in small groups. We've got two exercises. So first is a visioning exercise, and the second is a goal setting exercise. And so through kind of the Zoom function, we'll break you out into small groups, and then you'll come back to the large group at the end, and we'll report out and do next steps. So that's our agenda tonight. And with that, just want to cover a few kind of meeting protocols on Zoom. I see probably many of you are Zoom experts by now, but just wanted to cover a few things. And you may have seen this already, but we're recording this meeting tonight. So just to let you know that, and that way, if we've missed anyone tonight, we have the recording, and the recording could be viewed. So for Q&A, we do want this to be interactive. We've got some polls set up, so we want to hear from you in a variety of ways. We have multiple opportunities for questions and comments and discussions. The chat features are enabled, so you're encouraged to use those chat features throughout the meeting. And then during the presentation, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function, indicate that you have a question, and then we'll have kind of set pauses at the end of each section. Feel free to use that. We do have the small group breakouts and for comments and discussion. So if you have a lengthy kind of comment or a discussion piece, we've organized this meeting to facilitate those conversations in that small breakout format. So if you could reserve those comments for the smaller group setting, that would be great. Next slide, please. So just in case you need a reminder, about how to use the mute and chat functions. On the bottom left should be a mute unmute button, as well as a chat button that we encourage you to use, as well as the raise hand function should be on the bottom right. Next slide. There are a few other Zoom versions, so just wanted to call that out, that sometimes you have to hit the participants, and then from there you hit raise hand, or if you're on your phone, if you're using the mobile app, you have to hit the bottom right where there's 3 dots in a row. If you hit that, then you'll see a raised hand. So there's a couple different Zoom formats. So just wanted to highlight those for you all. So with that, we wanted to start out with a little bit of a warm up to get you all engaged, because we do plan to use these polls throughout the meeting. So in the chat function, there's already, thanks Daniel, a survey there. So it's called Poll Everywhere. So if you hit that link, it should send you right to the survey. So we want to know how you heard about tonight's meeting. Social media, the city's website, did you hear about the flyer or see it from the flyer in the mail, word of mouth, or other? Lots of others. That's good. All right. Feel free to, if someone can't access the poll, feel free to, if you're having trouble, put something in the chat. But looks like other wins this one. So we can go on to the next poll. So we're curious a little bit about to gather some demographic data. If you don't mind sharing age range from A to G, that would be helpful for us to get a sense of the age groups that we have participating tonight. Hey, and that works too. If you can't use the poll everywhere, you can put something in the chat too and respond. That works well. Thanks, Robert. Looks like a good split from C to E. So from 25 to 54. Got a good split. Great. Thank you. Thank you all for participating. All right, so now we're going to jump into a little bit of the nuts and bolts about the study. I'm going to provide a quick overview of the study. So first, wanted to start with what's been done to date. The City of Broken Arrow and the regional partners and the community have completed a lot of great work to date. So their study that we're going to be talking about tonight really builds upon from this past work. So for example, the Broken Arrow Comp Plan in 2019 really sets the guiding policies for Broken Arrow for the future growth and land use patterns, as well as transportation. And transportation and mobility is a large component of that plan. And some key takeaways were that Broken Arrow wants to increase access to transit options and that the residents really value transit. Next really is last year, the Tulsa Transit Agency completed a study. It was a smaller size study last year, and it recommended service scenario modifications. I think a major takeaway from the study was they heard from the residents that there was general lack of awareness or there's little knowledge about the existing services. And that additionally, residents really shared that they were interested in more service, particularly really interested in more from the existing flex routes. So those are kind of some key takeaways that we're starting with this study. Next slide, please. So the purpose of this study is really to develop a long-term strategy for enhancing public transportation in the city of Broken Arrow, and ultimately to develop a path forward or a roadmap to implement that the passenger transportation vision. So I'm going to cover a few of the particular goals around this study. And first, really to define and establish the vision to address the needs of public transportation in and around the city. And y'all are going to help us with that tonight. The second goal is really to provide reliable mobility options to move people, but also to support the economic growth of the city and to provide that important connections to key destinations and neighborhoods, which we've heard from you all on the website about those key destinations and neighborhoods. Next, really, we're going to prioritize improvements and we're going to come up and develop service scenarios to improve mobility and to support the service. And this includes thinking about the future of transportation technologies. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. We're also going to take a look at the cost to provide the service. So we're going to look at both capital, operating, and really maintenance costs and develop a funding plan and strategies to implement the scenarios. We also are going to think about and work closely with the city on what is the role of the city to support and provide public transportation today and into the future. And then thinking about how is the coordination with the other local transportation agencies and studies and more of a regional perspective of what's going on within the region for public transit. And then finally, again, we're going to be thinking about how to leverage transportation technologies to provide innovative mobility solutions. So the study area, of course, includes the city of Broken Arrow, but it includes really also regional travel. So we're going to be looking at travel within the city of Broken Arrow, but also really a regional lens on regional travel. Our study is going to explore, this chart on the screen is a public transportation toolbox. So we're going to explore the many applications of public transportation that may best serve the city. So the chart really describes a lot in a good detail kind of the different modes and the general characteristics of the modes. But I think that's what's important here is, there's different factors in selecting a particular mode, which includes things like the demand of the service, right? Or the ridership that typically is matched with that particular mode. A large part about which mode is selected is driven by density or the population of the community, right? Other factors to consider would be the length of the system, as well as importantly, costs. So both capital, operating, and maintenance costs. So we'll be taking a look at all the different modes. I did want to spend a moment though on microtransit. So that's the first row there on the screen that it may not be as familiar to you as some other of traditional public transit. So just wanted to take a moment. Microtransit is, you also often hear or it referred to as flexible transit. And flexible transit just means any transit service where the route varies according to who requests it, right? So it's flexible. It's the opposite of fixed route transit, right? So a common term that you might hear, microtransit or on-demand transit or demand response, it's all the same. It's all the same category. So just wanted to take a moment on that. So the study is going to consider all the different modes and make a recommendation of service scenarios based on the characteristics, particular characteristics of Broken Arrow, including things that I mentioned like population, land use, travel markets, and costs. So a little bit about the schedule and kind of the 4 phases of work. So the first phase is where we are tonight, defining the vision. So through working with you all and key stakeholders, we're going to seek to understand the transportation needs of residents and visitors, and we're going to define the city's transportation vision together. So the second phase, defining the issues, is really about assessing the existing service. So we're going to be, and we've already started interviewing transportation service providers. We're going to analyze mobility data, both again within the city, but also regionally, and looking at travel markets. And we're going to evaluate both the existing and future transportation needs. The next step is really defining the future. So this is going to involve developing transportation scenarios to improve the existing system to meet both near-term and long-term needs. You see the community engagement in that third bucket that's in a orange rectangular. So we're going to have a second public meeting to share our draft scenarios and really gather your input and feedback. And we're hoping that this will be in person because it'll be in the March to May timeframe. And finally, based on the input that we received, the data that we'll have analyzed and the best practices, we're going to recommend one service scenario and develop a strategy around that for a path forward on how to implement. So we'll conclude the study with a summary report and really details of the findings from the previous phases. So this study is being conducted with guidance from a steering committee. The project steering committee is made up of government agencies, business organizations, and community partners shown on the screen. We want to say thank you to our steering committee for your participation in the study and your commitment to the city. So I did also want to ask if anyone from the steering committee is here tonight. We'd love to hear from you. Would you mind coming off mute and introducing yourself and just maybe state which organization you're representing?
I'm Lisa Ford, and I am representing the City of Broken Arrow as a city councilor.
Thank you. Welcome.
I'm Jennifer Conway, and I am representing the Broken Arrow Chamber of Commerce and the business community.
Thanks, Jennifer. Welcome.
I am Patricia Dinoa, and I'm representing INCOG.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Quickle, and I am representing Broken Arrow Neighbors.
Excellent. Anyone else?
My name is Chase Phillips. I am a transit planner with Tulsa Transit.
Hey, Chase, thanks for joining.
Jill, this is Michael Spurgeon, the city manager for Broken Arrow.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
And I see, looks like Rosalind is unable to come off mute, but thanks for joining us from the Broken Arrow Public Schools. That's great.
Sean Simpson is already as well here. His mic is broken, but he is from the Broken Arrow Senior Center.
Excellent. All righty. Anyone else? Well, thanks for joining us tonight. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Monica, and she's going to cover some existing conditions. Monica?
Hi, everyone. Yes, as Jill mentioned in the timeline for this project, we want to first evaluate the existing transportation conditions in Broken Arrow to help inform our recommendations for the future. So to start off, we understand you guys are served by Tulsa Transit with 3 different routes. You have the local route 508, and then 2 express routes that get you to the city of Tulsa, the 902 and 909. You also have 3 park and rides, Battle Creek Church, one at Union Intermediate High School, and Indian Spring Church. So to help us gather information on these existing conditions, as we've been showing the links in the chat, on our website, we have 2 activities, one with a survey and one interactive map activity. If you already filled these out, thank you guys so much. We'll be reviewing some of the initial results that we've received so far. And if you haven't had a chance to, that's okay too. They're both open until February 15th. So if you know the people who should fill out the survey, please pass the link on to them. And we're excited to get all the information on the 15th. So far, we've had over 2,000 people visit the website, which is incredible. We've had almost 100 people participate in the map activity, and we received almost 400 survey responses so far. So the next couple of slides are going to let you guys know some of the initial things we're seeing in those responses. So we first asked people to let us know how they are related to Broken Arrow. 95% of people said they're a resident. Almost 30% said that they work in Broken Arrow. 12% said that they play sports in Broken Arrow, and 9% said that they were business owners. So this is helping us understand the types of trips people are taking with the information that they're providing us. We also wanted to see who we were getting to take the survey, just to understand the different populations. And we're pretty happy that we have representation from all the priority populations we were interested in. So we have 30% of people are 65 years or older, 18% individuals with disabilities, 40% veterans, and 10% low income. So yeah, we're really happy so far with these results. One of the questions was asking about people's travel behaviors, where they go within Broken Arrow as well as outside of the city. And so the most popular destination outside of Broken Arrow was Tulsa, followed by Bixby, Coweta, Muskogee, and Wagner. And then within the city, the Rose District is the most popular destination to go to, followed by the New Orleans Square, Bass Pro Outdoor World, the Indian Spring Sports Complex, and then the Northeastern State University. And so these are probably not too surprising to you all, but again, it's helpful to reinforce where people are going to, where they want to go, and where we should really dedicate our efforts for public transportation. We also want to understand people's current mode choices, what they think of the transportation system today. So we asked them to rank the 5 different modes on the left from 1 to 5, and the most common daily mode choice was a car, followed by walking, then taxi and Uber, biking, and then last was public transportation. And so seeing this is really reinvigorating the need for this study, and really we're hopeful that through our efforts we can get public transportation as a higher mode choice for Broken Arrow residents. We had a couple of comments asking what people think of the current system. And so 63% of people thought the cost is reasonable, but then the next 4 bullets on the right had less than 20% or less of people agreeing with them. So 20% of people think it operates well, 18% know how to request service, only 17% of people think it's reliable, and only 13 said it's near where they live or work. So this information is really helpful because it's allowing us to understand where there might be areas that we can improve on, and where we can really direct our efforts to helping bring the transportation system up to where people need it to be. We also had some different suggestions of ways that the system could be improved and wanted to see what people wanted the most. So of these proposed changes, most people voted for that they want it to be more convenient and closer to where they live and want to go. It was followed by people wanting more public transportation options, more information and communication, improved facilities, and then finally, more frequent trips. So yeah, these are all great resources and inputs that we now know what people really want us to prioritize. And we recognize that we can make certain improvements and some people may or may not change their current travel behavior. So we wanted to see, okay, so if we make some of these proposed changes, how likely are you to ride public transportation? And it was nice to see that 75% of people said that they were likely or very likely to ride public transportation if some of these changes were made. So that was, yeah, really encouraging to see. Want to include some quotes that we received. Many of the comments were about wanting options for senior citizens. Some people felt that the public transit system is non-existent in Broken Arrow. People were saying how they would use public transit even though they currently drive. People wanting more frequent service and the emphasis on families and allowing public transportation to serve them too. And then finally, for the map exercise results, as I mentioned, we have almost 100 people providing comments. If you haven't had a chance to go on the website, I really encourage you to. You have the option to leave 4 different markers to indicate either where public transportation is serving you well, where it can be improved, and also letting us know what your typical route is to understand origin and destinations of travel behaviors. And so some comments that we've received from this activity that people want connection to the Rose District. They want options for people who are disabled and seniors to get to their healthcare facilities, maybe a connection to the airport, connection to primary city facilities such as the library, senior center, parks, wanting more frequency of trips, and potentially a commuter train or light rail to Tulsa and to the communities to the southeast of Broken Arrow. And with that, I'll pass it back off to Jill to talk about the visioning exercise.
Hey, thanks, Monica. So now shortly, we're going to go into our first small group breakout session and activity. I'm going to tee that up a little bit, though, and talk about a vision statement. So what is a vision statement before we ask y'all to create one? So a vision statement really should describe the purpose of the city's public transportation service. So think aspirational, right? So what are the goals? What should the service achieve? So think about these kind of key kind of aspirational goals and related kind of themes and issues to public transportation. So likely it should be positive, present tense, qualities that provide the reader with a feeling for really the uniqueness of the city and the region. Think about the inclusiveness of the region's diversity. And again, it's aspirational. So think about the kind of high standards and excellence and achievement that public transit could achieve. And then lastly, and importantly, focus on the people, right, and quality of life, because ultimately public transit is for the people. Next slide. So we're going to start with a little bit of a warm up to help to start thinking about the vision statement and some of these aspirational goals. So in one word, if you could click on the link in the chat for the survey, give you a moment to do that. But in one word, could you describe the future of public transportation in Broken Arrow? First word there is cartless, inclusive, sustainable, accessible, effective, reliable.
If more people say certain words, it becomes larger. And so if you agree with one of them, you can type that in as well. So it's more emphasized.
Opportunities, Julie. Yeah, and if your poll everywhere, if the poll's not working, feel free to put that in the chat. That's great. We'll take that down. Safe. Community, timely, innovative, abundant. That's a good one. Well, thank you guys. This is very helpful, hopefully a good warm up to your small group. So I'm going to just go to the next slide real quick and provide a few examples of some kind of sister transit agencies throughout the nation to start thinking a little bit about what the city of Broken Arrow's public transportation vision could be. So the first one is from Embark in Oklahoma City. It's the longest one, but I'm going to just read it. So to be a self-sustaining transportation network that removes barriers of location and socioeconomic status while elevating the status and use of public transportation, so all Central Oklahoma can safely and quickly reach their destination, from Embark in Oklahoma City. The next one is from CARTA in Chattanooga, to provide a cost-effective, efficient, and safe multimodal transit system for the citizens, visitors, and businesses. Next is from DART in Des Moines. So to facilitate affordable, seamless mobility options that support economic prosperity for all. The last example is from Metro Transit in Minneapolis, St. Paul, to deliver environmentally sustainable transportation choices that link people, jobs, and community conveniently, consistently, and safely. So we wanted to just provide these as examples to start thinking about what you maybe like and what's applicable to Broken Arrow. So with that, Monica is going to send us out into our small groups. And so you should be kind of dismissed. You won't have to do anything, and she's going to send you off.
And so it's 6:31 right now. We'll have 15 minutes for this first exercise. So we'll see you guys all back here at 6:46. I'm opening the rooms now, and so let me know if you have any difficulty getting into the room that you're assigned to. I'm going to have the ability to move some of you guys to the room, so I might do that now. Just so you guys, in case there's any, let's say, don't have it. I thought I was able to be in right away. Anyone who's still in this main room, are you guys having challenges to get to the breakout room?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anything's coming up to let me get into it.
Like I might have accidentally kept you to this room, so let me move you to your room. Okay.
How about the other folks here? Michael Gordon, Michael Spurgeon, and Jim? Are y'all having issues?
Nothing is popping up for me to
go. Try again. Let's see. Do you see anything now?
That worked for him. Okay. Jim?
Hey, Jill, this is Michael Spurgeon. Hey, I'm not having any issues. Just in my role, I just like to listen and hear the comments, because ultimately the recommendation will come from my office to the council. Thank you, though.
Okay. I can. Would you like me to put you in rooms so you can jump in different ones?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If I could go to multiple rooms, that'd be great.
Yeah. Do you know which one you just came from?
I was with the one that I think had Megan in it.
Okay. I'll put you in room 1 for now, and then we can.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I see F. Maxwell. Just want to make sure you have the opportunity. If you just joined us, we went through about a 30-minute presentation, and now we're going into a small group activity.
Well, let us know if you're having challenges. If I'm doing well on time.
Yeah, we hit the time right on time. Yeah.
I'm going to pause the recording and then I'll restart it when we get back.
Thanks, Matt. Y'all covered a lot of ground. 15 minutes. Thank you. We're going to go to room 2 or under, that was Aiden's small group. We could have a spokesperson.
I just submitted our statement to the response. It should be on.
So we can share our screen. Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Perfect. I'll share screens.
Do we have a spokesperson for group 2?
We did not get to officially designate one, so if someone jumps in, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, I can read it if need be.
Thanks. Does anyone from the group want to share the vision statement?
I mean, I can read, so I
All
guess
right,
I can
that works.
do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I can only read down to the word 2 because it
we
cuts
can
off
scroll.
after
We can
that.
scroll.
But now I can't read the beginning, so I guess everybody just read it. It looks great.
Sorry to interrupt. This one is not your groups, but
oh, good.
That one,
it didn't sound familiar.
Yeah. Aiden, how about you?
Somebody else be in charge. I'm done with this.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for trying. Aiden, do you want to read it?
Totally. So for ours, we have transportation in Broken Arrow will be affordable, simple to use, easy to navigate, close to all residents, accessible regardless of age, socioeconomic status, or disability, and allows all people to reach where they live, work, and play.
Wow. Excellent.
So it hit on most of the points that we covered throughout, but some of the big ones that came up repeatedly in our discussion was that accessibility piece for all residents, regardless of socioeconomic status, as well as simplicity, to make sure that barrier to entry is low, allowing everyone to access it.
Excellent. Thanks, group 2. Now, how about group 3? I think that was Apple's group was the facilitator there.
Yeah, my name is Caitlin, and our group focused a lot on affordability, sustainability, and ease of use for those who already utilize the service, just to make it more convenient. Mm-hmm. And also provide access to services outside of Broken Arrow, like hospitals, airport, that sort of thing. Our group statement was to provide sustainable, affordable, and inclusive service that connects the community of Broken Arrow to the businesses and services within Broken Arrow, as well as the surrounding region.
Excellent. Thanks, group 3. Thanks, Caitlin, for sharing. What about group 4, Gabby's group? And y'all, again, may have not selected a facilitator or a spokesperson, but if we have anyone who wants to read your vision statement, we'd appreciate that. And if not, Michael, you came on camera. It must be you. All right.
Our vision for the City of Broken Arrow's public transportation is accessible and offers safe, reliable options. Local transit options will be frequent to provide flexibility to residents to provide economic development and connectivity to the City of Broken Arrow. This transit system should also build confidence for residents with disabilities through its wayfinding, station locations, and other aspects, and cater to those who are visually impaired. We talked a lot about safety and accessibility in our group.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, group. That was great. Group 5, I think Luke was the facilitator. If we have a spokesperson who wants to share your vision statement, your group's vision statement.
Yes, I am the spokesperson.
All right. Thank you.
To increase mobility options by creating an innovative, environmentally safe, consistent, accessible, and affordable transportation options that improves the engagement of people of all ages and connects them with communities, businesses, and leisure activities to enhance the quality of life in Broken Arrow. So one of the comments that was shared was that Broken Arrow Public Schools has a lot of employees that make lower wages that could probably really, this would really be a benefit for them to be able to come from their house to work. And they are the largest employer of in Broken Arrow. So I think that would be really good. Also, if more people would use public transportation, then it would be less vehicles on the street. So that would help with pollution, but it would also help for the people that are still driving, that there won't be quite as many vehicles on the street.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now we're going to go to group 6. I think that was Kristen's group. We have a spokesperson who can report out.
Yes, this is Jaylee Klimpa. So we came up with the opportunity for affordable, sustainable, and easily accessible transportation within the region while improving the overall quality of life. We discussed many of the same things that all the other groups have so far. The senior citizens needing transportation to and from their places, doctors' offices, places downtown, the senior citizens facility. And then also we discussed the fact that the kids that go to the university and the high school and things like that, you know, maybe mom or dad can't take them everywhere all the time to all the sports complexes that we have, et cetera, around, and how wonderful it would be to also have that interaction in the small community in this transit, you know, this bus transit route system that hopefully we will be able to improve. Also, something that was brought up was effective. It needs to be effective. So.
Thanks, Jaylee. That was great. Thanks for summarizing that. Group 7. So that was Nathan's group. Who wants to report out? Hopefully I'll have a spokesperson.
I can jump in there, Nathan.
All right.
So our statement reads as to provide attractive transportation alternatives that allow people to access daily and essential services around the city and beyond. So a couple of things that came up during our breakout session was the idea that we would like for more than 13% of our people in our community to be able to say that they could get to their job in a timely fashion along one of the bus route options. So developing our routes in concert with many of the economic growth and work industry opportunities would be ideal for that scenario to be established. And also to be able to connect to some of the nearby cities, as well as has been mentioned by some of the other groups too, knowing that the need is likely still high for many people to get to medical appointments and things of that nature. We want our system to be quite accessible as well and dependable. And just lastly, just to make it a popular alternative, an attractive alternative of transportation. I can tell you, some people just do not like to drive every day, even though they have to, or they feel that they have to. But if there was an attractive and comfortable alternative, I could see many people taking advantage of that. I think I might be one of them if that option was made available from time to time. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Group 7. And thank you all. That concludes this portion of the first activity. And we wanted to move right into the second activity, which was really building right off of all the things that you guys talked about. And we wanted to talk about goal setting. So we're going to send you off in a moment into your small group again. But we wanted in your small group, we're calling it a priority pyramid exercise, and you'll see that in a moment. But really, it's really grappling with kind of trade-offs, right? So the different goals that are important that you all already really covered, you know, accessibility, affordability, right? Available through the day. So what's the time that transit runs? How easy to use is it? You know, including not just folks that live in Broken Arrow, but residents, the kind of easy to access, how to figure out how to use transit, travel times. How long does it take to go from A to B, right? That's important. How frequently available is that service? So how often transit serves that kind of defined area? How frequently does that service run? Does it go where you need to go, right? The pickup and drop off locations, are they convenient? Are they really where the users need them to be? We've heard a lot about safety. So both perceived and kind of real safety, and that's important. And then finally, sustainability. We've heard that word quite a bit already. So we want you all to, in your small groups, talk about these 9 different goals. And Monica, if you go to the next slide, we want you to work with the group and rank the top priorities for mobility in Broken Arrow using these 9. And so again, when everyone's done, we'll come back and we'll share everyone's answers, but we're also going to combine everyone's answers into one pyramid. So we'll do that kind of behind the scenes. But again, the purpose of this exercise is to really grapple with, these priorities and kind of the trade-off discussions within the group. So with that, we are going to send you back into your small group to work on this pyramid together. Monica, how are we on time?
We're good. I opened the rooms, but we'll be back at 7:15. Let me just make sure there's no one outside. So let's see.
Oh. Welcome back. Take a moment for the small groups to come back into their big room. Welcome back. We'll just give it a minute till all the rooms are here. Let's see. I believe all the rooms are here, so we can get going. Well, welcome back, everyone. Hope you all had a good conversation. So we want to really repeat the same thing in that we want to call each group out and want you to share your pyramid and the discussion. And hopefully there was some conversation about the trade-offs and how y'all kind of decided which one took priority. And then if you got to the second question of, now that you did this priority pyramid, did it spark any changes from your original vision statement if you got that far? That's like an extra credit question. So with that, we'll go to group 1. If you have a spokesperson for group 1, and I believe facilitator, I think you're going to share your screen and show that priority pyramid. So Adriana's group.
We didn't pick a facilitator, but I'll go ahead and jump in there for us.
Right.
We talked about sustainability being really important so that people could rely on it for a long period of time, both from that, financial perspective, but also just overall as a real benefit for all the community members. We felt like accessible encompassed lots of aspects that we weren't able to include on our pyramid. In terms of ease of use, we also talked about that it's important to have multiple modalities in which people could utilize to access it, not just saying, oh, the only way you can get this is an app, because we feel like a lot of users who really need the service might not be comfortable with that avenue. So having multiple ways they can utilize it. Safety was really big for us, because if it's not safe, you're not going to use that. And then also affordable, because it seems that we talked about people across the lifespan utilizing that, and the benefits of being affordable. Really, really important of going where you need to go, and in a timely manner, so that, you know, if you're going to work, you're going to get to work on time. You're not going to have to worry that you're going to miss that. If you're going for a doctor's appointment, you're going to make it on time, and be able to be back home safely.
Excellent. Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks for summarizing that. Sounds like a good conversation. So group 2, I think that's Aiden's group. We have a spokesperson, and you want to share your screen?
We don't have a designated spokesperson.
I'll do it. I'll do it if nobody wants to.
Sean, I think you got it.
Okay. I seldom do this, so I might as well do it when I feel like it.
Yeah.
We kind of thought that safe and sustainable had to be acceptable before you would even want to do something. And I know that the 3 city councilors on the call would agree. If it's not safe, why do it? If it's not sustainable, why start it? So we kind of put those out of the pyramid, and we focused on accessibility first, with frequently available and easy to use being the next 2. And then obviously the bottom tier is does it go where I want it to? Is it affordable? And can I get there quickly? So that was how we set the pyramid up. But for us, accessibility is sort of 1A, B, and C. And then is it available, and is it easy to use? Can you figure it out? Because if it's hard, you're not even going to get to the point of where does it go where I need it to, or can I afford it?
Right.
We also think that affordability needs to have multiple purchase points.
Thanks. Thank you. And did you get to the how would this change your vision statement?
We moved accessible regardless of age, socioeconomic status, or disability up right behind affordable, because most of our discussion kept going back to accessible. And it's probably because right now it's not.
Great. Well, thanks, Sean. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, group 2. Appreciate it. All right. So group 3, Apple's group. Apple, you want to share your screen? And if we have a spokesperson?
Sure thing. Can everyone see my screen?
Sure can.
So we worked on building our pyramid to focus on some of the things that our group had expressed the most interested in, affordability being the key among them, mostly because a lot of the users utilizing the service need it to remain affordable. Some of the feedback that I've heard from users who currently utilize public transit is that it often doesn't go where they need to go, and that it takes a long time to get there. So those were 2 of the middle important ones that we assigned. And then accessible, frequently available, and easy to use were our lower priorities, but still made it onto the pyramid. We did revise our vision statement a bit to include the words convenient, fast, reliable, because we expressed those as being important in our pyramid. So,
excellent. Thanks, Caitlin. And thanks, group 3. So now move on to group 4. So that is Gabby's group. Gabby, do you want to share your screen? And if you have a spokesperson who wants to summarize your conversation, that'd be excellent.
Yeah, we do. So first and foremost for us was safety being at the top of the list there. Outside of that, our group really struggled with defining the bottom 5 based on, because we don't know what the mode of transportation truly is. Is it a 40-foot transit bus? Is it a 5-packs minivan? Is it a trolley? With these 5, we thought would interchange and vary on high to low priority based on the type of transportation. So really for us, safety priority number 1, and then the other 5 were truly interchangeable. But if we had the mode of transportation nailed down, I think we would be able to define that a lot better. So it was pretty, we struggled.
Yeah. Sounds like a good conversation.
Right. And then as far as our vision, we didn't, I don't know if it's just we didn't get to it, but we didn't really change. We we're pretty in line with what we had on there.
Excellent. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for reporting that out. All righty. So group 5, Luke's group. Luke, do you want to share your screen?
Hey, Jared, do you want to be the spokesperson this time?
I suppose.
Okay, thank you.
So the number one thing that we all agreed on was goes where I need to go. We wanted it accessible to all users and safe. We kept debating safe for a while and it just kept going down, but we did make it onto the pyramid. We wanted it frequently available and easy to use. When it came to affordable and sustainable, it kind of just seemed like we left it off at a tie, perfect 50-50 on which one we wanted to keep. And there was also a lot of discussion on just how much overlap all these individual topics had with each other. So like easy to use and accessible kind of felt the same, but then it also felt different. So maybe with clarification, things would move around. We did not get to changing the vision statement at all.
Okay, it sounded like I had a good conversation about the trade-offs and how these relate to each other and priorities. So thanks, Jared. Thanks for summarizing that. Group 6, Kristen's group.
I think she's there. It is.
There you go.
Jaylee again. Yep.
Hey, Jaylee.
Okay, so we ended up putting accessibility on the top of our pyramid. Then the next 2 items, fast travel times and goes to where I need to go, because if it's not going to get you to where you need to go in a decent amount of time, probably no one's going to use it. Then the next tier we had affordable, safe, and sustainable. It's got to be affordable, yet it's got to be sustainable for the city to be able to afford it. Obviously, it needs to be safe. And then the last tier, easy to use, available throughout the day, and frequently available. So that was our pyramid structure that we ended up getting. I agree. It sounds like some of these, I think, are some blended ideas of the same thing, but maybe not. But we did change our statement a little bit to improving the overall quality of life by creating opportunities for an efficient, affordable, sustainable, and easily accessible transportation system within the region. So we kind of switched it around a little bit. We had most of the same points, but just kind of switched it around. So
yeah. Thanks, Jaylee. Yeah, putting that quality of life first through these other things. So that's great.
Yeah.
Group 7, Nathan's group.
Yeah, I'll take this one.
Great. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah. So a theme that was stated from ours is that the top 3 are a little bit more socially or human-minded. So safety has been reiterated kind of throughout several of the other groups as a key focus. If people don't feel safe, if they actually aren't safe, or just the perception of safety is not there, then people don't want to use the service, no matter how bad you need it, really. So that was our top priority. Accessibility was also a really big one, right? Making sure that we have vehicles that meet the needs of anyone who needs or wants to take the bus is a big priority as well. And then the going where I need to go, right? So we're Okies. We do, at the end of the day, a lot of us do love our cars. We don't want to walk too far to our bus stops. We want that convenience, right? So that's just kind of a natural human thing. So we want the bus to be able to go where we want to go. So the bottom 3 are a little bit more about services. So they're a little bit more about how we're actually planning that out. So the span of service, right? So we want it available throughout the day. That it also serves a lot of your second and third shift workers. So that's very important to our community, which was kind of reiterated throughout a lot of this discussion tonight. It needs to be easy. That's not an essential thing, but definitely a good, convenient thing that makes using the bus a lot more streamlined. And then frequency, which is also a pretty big convenience thing as well. 2 notes that we did have, sustainability. So we had a good question about whether we're talking about environmental sustainability or fiscally sustainable. So definitely a good thing to keep in mind as you're planning your bus system. And I did mention that our top 3 were pretty socially minded, but we didn't actually include the affordability in there. And part of that was discussion we had and some of the transit surveys that I've been a part of. Generally, people who advocate for bus riders are often a little bit more sensitive to the price of bus fares than actual bus riders. Bus riders generally want better service rather than cheaper bus fares, just because that has a little bit more impact on their lives, actually, really, at the end of the day. So just a good insight there. So, and then for our vision statement, the only thing we changed was safety, because that we kind of saw how much that popped up throughout all the different groups. And so we wanted to make sure that that was reflected in our vision statement.
Excellent. Good job, Group 7. I believe that is everyone. So with that, we're going to, let's see, we're going to go to the final slide. And we did some behind the scenes calculation. I'm going to hand it over real quick to Daniel to cover the aggregate.
Hi,
Daniel.
everybody. So yeah, I kind of compiled all of the responses from the 7 groups and kind of weighted those, for the top being like weighted 4 points all the way to the bottom weighted 4. And it looks like overall accessibility by users is pretty handily the top rated priority among the groups. And then the second tier are pretty similar kind of weighted scores, where they're going where I need to go, safe and affordable. And then the bottom 5 are all pretty close scores as well, with sustainability, ease of use, fast travel times, and frequently available being right around. And then the bottom one was availability throughout the day. So that was close priority among groups. Back to you, Jill. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Daniel. Well, thank you all for participating in the small groups. Very valuable. This will really help us to really craft the draft passenger transportation vision. So really appreciate everyone's engagement tonight. I wanted to talk quickly about next steps, and then we'll close it out and send you all off to be home. So we're wrapping up this last piece of defining the vision. Tonight was a big piece of that, part of that, and we have a steering committee meeting tomorrow, which we're going to talk about your feedback from tonight and your input on the vision statement and the goals. Then we're going to move and go to really looking at the existing inventory of services. We'll be working with the steering committee and doing a lot of data analysis. And then you'll be hearing from us again, because we're going to have a second public meeting, as I mentioned, to really review draft transportation scenarios and get your input on those draft scenarios, and then finally wrap this study up in June. So those are the next steps, and we encourage you, Monica, if you want to go to the next slide, that if you do have questions, Larry's email and phone number is here on the screen. Don't hesitate to reach out. We encourage you to continue providing feedback on the website. It's going to be open, the map exercise and survey, for another week and a half or so. So please, continue to input on the website. And with that, I just want to say thank you all for your participation, to the city staff, to the steering committee, and members of the public. We appreciate you guys very much. And with that, have a great night and stay warm.
Thank you, everyone.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.